The key didn't turn. I stood on my own porch, the porch where I'd watched 3 decades of mail carriers come and go, and my key wouldn't turn. The brass felt cold against my palm. I tried again. Nothing. The lock had been changed. Then the doorbell camera crackled. My daughter's voice came through the tiny speaker. "Mom, you can come by Sunday. But call first, okay?" I stared at the camera lens. At my own front door. At the house where I raised 2 children and buried a husband. That was the moment I understood. But let me go back. Let me tell you how a mother ends up locked out of her own life. Hello. My name is Eleanor Hartwell. I'm 72 years old, and I live in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Or I did. Or I do now, again. It's complicated. If you're watching this, maybe you're sitting in your own living room right now. Maybe you're in Texas or California or some small town in Ohio. Wherever you are, I want you to pause for a second. Look around. Notice the walls, the photos, the way the light comes through your window at this hour. Now imagine someone taking that from you. Not a stranger. Your own child. That's my story. And I'm telling it because I don't want it to be yours. I should tell you who I was before all this. I was a kindergarten teacher for 31 years at Willard Elementary. Room 104. I had a little carpet with the alphabet on it. And every September, 20 new 5-year-olds would sit cross-legged on that carpet and look up at me like I held the answers to everything. Maybe I did, back then. Or maybe I just believed I did. I retired at 65. My husband Frank had already been gone 3 years by then. Heart attack. Quick and cruel, the way those things are. One morning he was reading the paper and complaining about the coffee being too weak. By noon, he was gone. After that, the house felt bigger. Quieter. But I stayed. People asked me why I didn't downsize. Move to one of those senior communities with the clubhouse and the pool. I always gave the same answer. This is where my life happened. The kitchen window still had the crack from when my son Ryan threw a baseball through it in 1987. The hallway closet still smelled faintly of Frank's old wool coat. The back porch step still creaked in that familiar way that told me I was home. I wasn't ready to leave those things behind. My daughter Jocelyn was born in 1982. She came out screaming and never really stopped. Not in a bad way. She was just loud, bright, the kind of child who demanded to be seen. She grew into that, became a real estate agent. A successful one. She had the smile for it. The handshake. The way of making you feel like whatever she was selling was exactly what you'd always wanted. Her husband Derek worked in finance. Investments, portfolios, things I never fully understood. He wore slim suits and spoke in numbers. Polite, always. But his eyes never quite matched his smile. They lived well. Nice cars. Vacations to places with beaches. A house in the next town over, though Jocelyn always said it was too small, too old, not enough. Ryan, my son, moved to Colorado after college. Software engineering. He calls every Sunday, sends photos of mountains. We don't talk as much as we should, but when we do, it's real. He was always the quieter one. The one who watched before he spoke. I mention this because later, he's the one who saved me. It was a Tuesday in March when everything started. I remember because Tuesdays were my library days. I'd walk the 6 blocks to the Ridgewood Public Library, return whatever I'd finished, pick up something new. That week it was a mystery novel. The kind with a detective who notices small details everyone else misses. I should have been that detective. I came home around 11. Made myself a cup of tea. Sat in the sunroom with the book. The forsythia bushes outside were just starting to bud. Yellow against gray. Spring trying to push through. Then I heard a car pull into the driveway. Jocelyn's white SUV. The one that always looked freshly washed. She stepped out carrying a folder and wearing that smile. The real estate smile. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something." She didn't wait for an invitation. Just walked right in, set the folder on my kitchen table, and sat down like she owned the place. I suppose, in her mind, she already did. "Don't say no right away," she said. "Just hear me out." Those words. I replay them sometimes. The way she leaned forward. The way her perfume filled my kitchen. The way she touched my hand like I was a client she was closing. "Your house needs work, Mom. You know it does. The roof is 20 years old. The kitchen is straight out of 1995. The bathroom tiles are cracking." She wasn't wrong. I'd been putting off repairs for years. After Frank died, there was no one to handle the ladder, the tools, the trips to the hardware store. Things piled up. Small problems became medium problems. Medium problems became things I tried not to think about. "I want to fix it for you," Jocelyn said. "All of it. New kitchen. New bathrooms. New flooring. The works." I blinked. That would cost a fortune. "Let me worry about that. Consider it a gift. For everything you've done for this family." A gift. The word felt warm. Like a sweater someone wraps around your shoulders. I should have noticed it was too tight. "There's just one thing," she continued. "During the renovation, you can't stay here. It's not safe. Dust, debris, workers coming in and out. You could fall, get hurt. So where would I go? There's a lovely extended stay hotel about 15 minutes away. It has a little kitchen, a nice bed. We'll cover the first month. You won't have to worry about anything." 1 month. She said it so easily. Like it was nothing. Like a month of my life was a small price for new countertops. "And after a month? It won't take longer than that. Maybe 6 weeks, tops. But we'll handle it if it does." She pulled out her phone. Showed me photos of renovated kitchens. Gleaming cabinets. Marble counters. Farmhouse sinks. "Imagine the grandkids running around in here," she said. "Imagine hosting Thanksgiving in a kitchen you're actually proud of." I thought of my granddaughters. Lily and Rose. 8 and 6. I saw them maybe 4 times a year. Jocelyn was always busy. Derek was always traveling. But maybe if the house was nicer. Maybe they'd visit more. That hope was the door she walked through. "There's something I need you to understand about being 72. People stop asking your opinion. They start making decisions for you. Gently, at first. Then less gently. Mom, you shouldn't drive at night. Mom, let me handle that. Mom, you don't need to worry about this. It happens so slowly you don't notice. One day you're the person everyone comes to for advice. The next, you're the person everyone talks around. Like furniture. Like something to be managed." I had fought against that feeling for years. Kept my independence. Paid my own bills. Made my own choices. But loneliness has a way of wearing you down. After Frank died, the silence in the house became a kind of companion. Not a good one. The kind that sits too close and whispers that maybe you're not as strong as you think. When Jocelyn offered to fix up the house, part of me knew something was off. The way she avoided my eyes when she talked about timelines. The way Derek sat in the car instead of coming inside. But a larger part of me wanted to believe. Wanted to believe my daughter loved me enough to give me this gift. Wanted to believe I wasn't as alone as I felt. So I said yes. The next week was a blur of activity. Jocelyn brought over sample boards. Tile options. paint colors with names like Morning Mist and Coastal Breeze. She spread them across my dining table and asked my opinion on things I'd never thought about. Do you prefer brushed nickel or matte black for the hardware? What about quartz versus granite? I pointed at things, nodded, said, that one looks nice, more times than I could count. Then, buried in a stack of papers, I saw it. A quitclaim deed. I knew what that was. I'd taught enough life skills lessons to know. A quitclaim deed transfers property ownership permanently. What's this? I asked. Jocelyn didn't miss a beat. Oh, that's just temporary. For legal protection. We're investing a lot of money into this renovation, so our lawyer said we need something on paper. Once everything's done, we transfer it right back to you. She smiled. That real estate smile. It's just paperwork, Mom. You know how lawyers are. I held the document. Read the words. Felt something cold move through my chest. I'd like to think about it, I said. Something flickered across her face. Just for a second. Then the smile returned. Of course. Take your time. There's no rush. But there was a rush. I could feel it. She left the deed on my table. That night, I called Ryan. It was late in Colorado, but he answered on the second ring. Mom, everything okay? I told him about the renovation. The hotel. The deed. I tried to keep my voice steady, but I could hear myself wavering. There was a long pause. Mom, don't sign anything. She says it's temporary. Jocelyn says a lot of things. Remember when she borrowed money for that investment opportunity? Remember when she needed help with that short-term loan? I remembered. Small amounts at first, then larger. Always paid back, but always late. Always with a story. This is different, I said. She's offering to help. Is she? Or is she offering to help herself? His words sat in my stomach like stones. Just, don't sign anything yet, he said. Promise me. I promise. I didn't sign, but I did leave. 2 weeks later, I packed a suitcase. Filled a box with books and photos and the small things that make a place feel like home. Jocelyn drove me to the extended stay hotel herself. The room was clean. Beige walls. A kitchenette with a 2-burner stove. A window that looked out at a parking lot. See? It's not so bad, Jocelyn said. And it's only temporary. She hugged me at the door. Held on a little too long. Thank you for trusting me, Mom. I won't let you down. I watched her drive away. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and looked around at the beige walls and the parking lot view and wondered what I had just done. 1 month passed. Then 2. Jocelyn sent photos at first. A gutted kitchen. A bathroom torn down to the studs. Workers in hard hats. Then the photos stopped. The contractor's behind schedule, she said when I asked. Supply chain issues. You know how it is. I asked to visit. Not yet. Too dangerous. There's exposed wiring. Debris everywhere. I asked for the contractor's number. He's not great with phone calls. I'll handle everything. Don't worry. Don't worry. She said that a lot. 3 months in, I was paying for the hotel myself. My retirement account, shrinking week by week. Jocelyn said she'd reimburse me. Just as soon as things settled down. I stopped asking questions. Stopped pushing. Because pushing meant fighting. And fighting meant admitting that something was wrong. And I wasn't ready for that. Here's what I've learned about betrayal. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't walk through the front door wearing a villain's mask. It comes dressed as love. It speaks in soft voices and makes promises it never intends to keep. It wraps itself in words like family, and trust, and I'm doing this for you. And by the time you see it clearly, you're already standing on your own porch. holding a key that doesn't work, listening to your daughter's voice through a speaker telling you to call before you visit your own home. That day was coming, but I didn't know it yet. 4 months into my hotel exile, I woke up at 3 a.m. with a feeling I couldn't name. Not fear, exactly. Not anger. Just a quiet certainty that something was very, very wrong. I lay in the dark and listened to the highway sounds outside my window. Cars passing, lives moving, everyone going somewhere, and me, stuck in a beige box, waiting for permission to return to my own life. The next morning, I got in my car. I didn't call first. I drove the familiar streets. Past the library, past the pharmacy, past the church where I used to sing in the choir. I turned onto my block, pulled into my driveway, and that's when I saw it. Through my living room window. Not a construction site, not workers in hard hats. Jocelyn and Derek, sitting on my couch, watching my television, drinking coffee from my mugs. Living in my house. I sat in my car for a long time. My hands were shaking. My heart was doing something strange. Too fast, then too slow. I thought about driving away. Pretending I hadn't seen. But I was 72 years old. I had raised 2 children and buried a husband and taught 1,000 students how to read. I was not going to be afraid of my own daughter. I got out of the car. Walked up the porch steps. Raised my hand to knock on my own front door. And waited. I'm going to stop here for now. Because what happened next, the conversation, the confrontation, the moment my daughter looked me in the eye and told me I was the one being unreasonable, that's its own chapter. But I want you to sit with this. Think about the people you trust most. Think about the keys in your pocket. The deed in your drawer. The names on your accounts. Because the people closest to us know our weaknesses better than anyone. And some of them will use that knowledge as a weapon. I'll tell you what happened next. The lies she told. The money that vanished. The way she tried to make everyone believe I was losing my mind. But first, tell me something. Where are you right now? What city? What state? Leave it in the comments. Because I need to know I'm not alone in this. And maybe you need to know you're not, either. The door opened before I could knock. Jocelyn stood there in yoga pants and a sweatshirt. My sweatshirt. The navy blue one with the faded library logo. She was holding a mug. My mug. The one that said, "World's Best Grandma." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then her face shifted. Not into guilt. Not into surprise. Into annoyance. "Mom, you're early. Early." As if I was a guest arriving before the party started. As if this wasn't my house. My door. My life. "You're living here," I said. It wasn't a question. She stepped aside to let me in. The hallway smelled different. Jocelyn's candles. Vanilla and sandalwood. The kind she always burned at her own house. The coat rack held Derek's jacket. His golf umbrella leaned against the wall. I walked into the living room. New furniture. A gray sectional where my floral couch used to be. A glass coffee table I'd never seen before. The walls had been painted. My pale yellow was gone, replaced by something called greige. I know because the paint can was still sitting in the corner. "Where's my couch?" I asked. "Storage. It was falling apart, Mom. We got you something nicer." "I didn't ask for something nicer." "You didn't have to. That's what family does." Family. She said that word like a shield. Like it could block anything I threw at it. Derek appeared from the kitchen. He was holding a protein shake. Wearing my husband's old bathrobe. Something inside me cracked. "Take that off." My voice came out harder than I expected. Derek froze. "The robe," I said. "Take it off." He looked at Jocelyn. She gave him a small nod. He set down the shake, untied the belt, and draped the robe over a chair. Mom, relax, Jocelyn said. We didn't know it was special. It was Frank's. Dad's been gone for 10 years. That doesn't make it yours. Silence. The kind that fills a room like smoke. Jocelyn sat down on the gray sectional, crossed her legs, picked up her coffee like we were having a casual Sunday chat. Sit down, Mom. Let's talk about this like adults. I remained standing. She explained it calmly, reasonably, the way she probably explained mortgage rates to first-time buyers. Their house had a mold problem. Black mold, behind the walls. The remediation would take months. They couldn't afford to stay in a hotel that long. Not with the renovation costs already piling up. So we moved in here, she said. Temporarily. Just until our place is fixed. You didn't ask me. You were at the hotel. We didn't want to stress you out. Stress me out? Jocelyn, this is my house. She tilted her head. That gesture she'd learned in some sales seminar. The one that said, I hear you, but you're wrong. Is it, though? I mean, legally, yes. But practically? You haven't lived here in 4 months. We've been paying the utilities, managing the contractors, handling everything. I've been paying for a hotel room, which we offered to cover. For 1 month. You covered 1 month. She waved her hand. Dismissive. Details. The point is, we're taking care of the house. We're taking care of you. Why are you making this into a fight? I want to stop here and explain something. This is how it works. This is how they do it. They take something that should be simple, something clear, and they twist it until you can't remember what you were upset about. Was I being unreasonable? They had mold. They needed a place to stay. Wasn't that what families did? But they hadn't asked. They'd just moved in, changed the locks, replaced my furniture, and now they were looking at me like I was the problem. I felt the ground shifting under my feet. The way it does in dreams when you're trying to run but the floor keeps tilting. I sat down. Fine, I said. You needed a place to stay. But the renovation is done, isn't it? I can see the new kitchen. The new floors. When can I come home? Jocelyn and Derek exchanged a look. That's complicated, she said. Why? Because, well, there were overruns. The project cost more than we expected. A lot more. She pulled out her phone. Scrolled through photos. Showed me receipts. Numbers that made my chest tight. We put in almost $90,000, Mom. Out of our own pocket. 90,000. The number hung in the air. We're not asking you to pay it back, she continued. We did this as a gift. But you have to understand, we have a stake in this house now. A real stake. A stake. An investment. And until we figure out how to balance that, it doesn't make sense for you to move back in alone. You'd be rattling around in this big place, wasting money on heating and cooling rooms you don't use. So what are you suggesting? She leaned forward, touched my hand. Stay with us. Here, in your house. We'll take the master bedroom. You can have the guest room. We'll all be together. The guest room. She was offering me the guest room. In my own house. I pulled my hand back. No, Mom, this is my house. My name is on the deed. I want you out. The room went cold. Jocelyn's face changed. The sales smile disappeared. What replaced it was something I'd seen before but always made excuses for. Anger. Real anger. The kind she usually hid behind charm. That's not going to happen, she said. Not until we work out the money. What money? The 90,000. If you want us out, you need to reimburse us. That's only fair. You said it was a gift. I said we weren't asking you to pay it back. But if you're going to be hostile, if you're going to treat us like criminals, then the arrangement changes." She stood up. Derek stood with her. They moved together, like they'd rehearsed this. "We have receipts," Derek said. His first real words since the bathrobe. "Contracts. Documentation. If this goes to court, we can prove what we invested." Court. He was threatening me with court. "This is elder abuse," I said. My voice was shaking now. "What you're doing. It's elder abuse." Jocelyn laughed. Not a cruel laugh. Worse. A pitying one. "Mom, you sound paranoid. We're your family. We're trying to help you. And you're throwing around words like abuse? This is exactly what I was worried about." "Worried about? Your memory. Your judgment. You've been forgetting things. Getting confused. Maybe the stress of living alone is too much for you." There it was. The weapon I didn't see coming. She wasn't just trying to take my house. She was trying to take my mind. My credibility. My right to be believed. I stood up. My legs felt weak, but I made them work. "I'm leaving," I said. "And I'm calling a lawyer." "Mom, don't do something you'll regret." "The only thing I regret is trusting you." I walked to the door. Grabbed the handle. "The locks," I said. "Give me the new keys. We'll mail them to you." Now. Another look between them. Derek reached into a drawer and pulled out a single key. Handed it to me like he was doing me a favor. "Take some time," Jocelyn said. "Calm down. Think about what you really want." I walked out without answering. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could drive. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. My thoughts were a mess of anger and shame and something that felt like grief. Grief. For what? For my daughter. The one I thought I knew. The one who used to climb into my lap during thunderstorms. The one who cried at her father's funeral and held my hand through the whole service. Where did that girl go? Or was she never real? The next morning, I went to the bank. First National, where Frank and I had kept our accounts for 40 years. I knew the manager, Patricia. She'd helped me refinance after Frank died. Sent flowers when I retired. "Eleanor, so good to see you." She smiled and gestured to a chair. "What can I do for you?" "I need to check my accounts." "All of them." Something in my voice made her smile fade. She turned to her computer. Started typing. "Your checking looks normal. Regular deposits, regular bills." "What about my savings? The retirement account?" More typing. A pause. A frown. "There have been some withdrawals." "How much?" She turned the screen toward me. $23,000. Gone. Over the past 4 months. Small amounts at first. 500 here. 1,000 there. Then larger. 5,000. 8,000. The room started spinning. "Who authorized this?" "It's a joint account, Eleanor. You added Jocelyn as a co-owner back in 2019. I remembered. After my hip surgery, Jocelyn had said it was for emergencies. In case something happened to me and bills needed to be paid. She's been withdrawing without my knowledge, I said. That's theft. Patricia's face was careful, professional. Legally, as a joint account holder, she has the right to access the funds. I'm sorry, Eleanor. There's nothing the bank can do. I drove back to the hotel. Sat on the bed. Looked at the beige walls. $23,000. Plus the hotel costs. Plus the $90,000 they claim to have spent. My daughter wasn't just living in my house. She was draining my life savings. And the law said she had every right to do it. I thought about calling the police. But what would I say? My daughter took money from our joint account? They'd tell me it was a civil matter. A family dispute. I thought about calling Ryan. But what could he do from Colorado? Worry. Feel helpless. Add his stress to mine. I thought about giving up. That thought scared me most of all. 3 days later, I tried again. This time, I called ahead. Told Jocelyn I wanted to talk. Work things out. She sounded pleased. Magnanimous. Of course, Mom. Come for dinner. We'll have a real conversation. I dressed carefully. Fixed my hair. Put on the earrings Frank gave me for our 30th anniversary. I wanted to feel like myself. The self I was before all this. The dinner was strained but civil. Roast chicken. Salad. A bottle of wine I didn't drink. I've been thinking, I said over dessert. Maybe you're right. Maybe the house is too big for me. Jocelyn's eyes lit up. Really? But I'm not ready to give it up entirely. What if we sold it? Split the proceeds? You'd get your investment back, and I could buy something smaller. A reasonable offer. A compromise. Jocelyn glanced at Derek. He shook his head slightly. The market isn't great right now, she said. We'd lose money. And besides, we've put so much work into this place. It would be a shame to sell. Then what do you want? She reached into a folder beside her plate. Pulled out papers. The quitclaim deed. Again. Just sign this. Transfer the house to us. We'll set up a trust so you can live here as long as you want. You'll have security. We'll have security. Everyone wins. I looked at the paper. The signature line. My name printed beneath it. And if I don't sign? Then we have a problem. Her voice was calm. We've invested significant money into a property we don't own. Our lawyer says we have options. What kind of options? Liens, lawsuits, things that would tie up the property for years. She sighed. I don't want that, Mom. I really don't. Just sign, and all of this goes away. I left without signing. Jocelyn called after me from the porch. You're making a mistake, Mom. You're not thinking clearly. Maybe we should talk to someone. A doctor. Get you evaluated. Those words followed me all the way back to the hotel. Get you evaluated. She was building a case. Laying groundwork. If I fought her, she'd say I was incompetent. Confused. Unable to manage my own affairs. And who would they believe? The successful real estate agent with the nice smile? Or the 72-year-old widow living alone in a hotel, making accusations against her own daughter? That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the dark and thought about all the times I'd ignored the warning signs. The borrowed money. The missed holidays. The way Jocelyn always seemed to need something. I'd told myself it was just how she was. High-strung. Ambitious. Struggling to keep up with the life she'd built. But it wasn't struggle. It was strategy. She'd been planning this for years. The joint account. The renovation offer. The isolation. She knew exactly what she was doing. At 2 a.m., I called Ryan. Mom? What's wrong? I told him everything. The withdrawals. The threats. The quitclaim deed. He was quiet for a long time. You need a lawyer, he said finally. A real one. Someone who specializes in this. I don't know anyone. I do. My friend's mother went through something similar. There's an attorney in Newark. Victoria Grant. She handles elder financial abuse cases. Financial abuse. The words felt heavy. Real. That's what this is, Mom. I know she's your daughter. I know you love her. But what she's doing has a name. I closed my eyes. I don't want to destroy my family. She's destroying it, Mom. You're just trying to survive. The next morning, I called Victoria Grant. Her voice was brisk. Professional. No nonsense. Tell me everything, she said. Don't leave anything out. So I did. The renovation. The hotel. The changed locks. The money. The threats. The quitclaim deed. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. I've seen this before, she said. More often than you'd think. Adult children taking advantage of aging parents. It's ugly, but it's beatable. What do I do? First, we protect what's left. Remove her from your accounts. Change your will if she's in it. Document everything. Every conversation, every withdrawal, every threat. And then? Then we fight. For your house. Your money. Your dignity. I thought about Jocelyn, the little girl who used to bring me dandelions from the backyard. She's my daughter, I said. I know. Victoria's voice softened. But right now, she's also your adversary. And you need to start treating her like one. I hung up the phone. Looked out the window at the parking lot. Somewhere across town, my daughter was sleeping in my bed. Using my kitchen. Living my life. And I was sitting in a beige room, 72 years old, about to go to war with my own child. I didn't know if I was strong enough. But I knew I had to try. I started keeping a notebook. Victoria told me to write everything down. Dates, times, conversations, every withdrawal, every threat, every time Jocelyn said something that could be used against her. Memory fades, Victoria said. Paper doesn't. So I wrote. In the hotel room, at the small desk by the window, I filled pages with my daughter's betrayal. It felt strange, like translating a nightmare into a language someone else could read. The first entry was simple. March 15th. Jocelyn offered to renovate my house. Said it was a gift. The last entry, so far, was harder. July 3rd. Discovered $23,000 missing from joint account. Jocelyn has been withdrawing since March. Between those two dates, my whole life changed. Victoria worked fast. Within a week, she'd drafted letters. Cease and desist. Demand for accounting. Notice of intent to pursue legal action for financial exploitation. We're putting her on notice, Victoria explained. Letting her know you're not a pushover. Will it scare her? Probably not. But it creates a paper trail. Shows you tried to resolve this before going to court. Court. The word still made my stomach turn. What happens if she doesn't respond? She will. People like your daughter always do. They can't resist explaining why they're right. The response came 3 days later. Not from Jocelyn. From a lawyer. A firm in Morristown with a name like a law school textbook. 3 partners, all men. The letter was 4 pages long. Full of words like frivolous, and baseless, and cognitive decline. Victoria read it out loud. They're claiming the withdrawals were authorized. That you gave verbal permission for Jocelyn to manage your finances. I never said that. They're also claiming the renovation was a joint investment. That you agreed to share ownership of the property in exchange for their labor and capital. That's a lie. I know. But lies become truth if you can't disprove them. She set the letter down. There's more. They're suggesting you may not be mentally competent to manage your own affairs. They're hinting at guardianship proceedings. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of her desk. They want to take control of me? They want to scare you into backing down. If they can prove you're incompetent, everything you own becomes theirs to manage. The house. The accounts. Everything. I thought about Jocelyn's words. Get you evaluated. This was the plan all along. Can they do that? Not easily. You'd need a medical evaluation. A hearing. Evidence of incapacity. Victoria looked at me steadily. Are you competent, Eleanor? Yes. Then we fight. That weekend, I went to church. First Presbyterian. I'd been a member for 38 years. Sang in the choir. Organized the bake sales. Sat in the same pew every Sunday, 3rd row from the back, left side. I needed to feel normal. To be somewhere familiar. To remember who I was before all this. But something was wrong. People I'd known for decades looked away when I walked in. Margaret Holloway, who I'd shared a hymnal with for years, suddenly needed to check her phone. Bill and Susan Kramer, who'd come to Frank's funeral, found seats on the opposite side of the sanctuary. After the service, I approached Dorothy Vance. We'd been in the same book club for 15 years. "Dorothy, how are you?" She hesitated, looked over my shoulder like she was searching for an escape. "Eleanor, I heard about. Well, I hope everything works out." "Heard about what?" "The situation with Jocelyn." She lowered her voice. "She called me last week. She's so worried about you. Said you've been having episodes. Confusion. Memory problems." My blood went cold. "That's not true. She said you might say that." Dorothy patted my arm. "The way you'd pat a child who doesn't understand. It's nothing to be ashamed of, Eleanor. It happens to all of us eventually." I walked out of that church and didn't go back. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and cried. Not delicate tears, ugly ones. The kind that make your whole body shake. This was her strategy. Not just to take my house and my money. To take my reputation, my community, my place in the world. If everyone believed I was losing my mind, who would take my side? The next week, I learned how far the whispers had spread. My neighbor Helen called. We'd exchanged Christmas cookies for 20 years. "Eleanor, I don't know how to say this. But Jocelyn stopped by yesterday. She asked me to keep an eye on you. Said you'd been wandering. Forgetting where you live." "I haven't been wandering. I've been at a hotel because she took over my house." Silence. "That's not what she said." "I know what she said." "It's a lie." More silence. Then, carefully, "Eleanor, maybe you should talk to someone. A professional. Just to rule things out." I hung up. The isolation was worse than the money. Money is just numbers. It can be earned again. Recovered. Fought for in court. But reputation? Trust? The quiet belief that you're a person worth knowing? Those things shatter like glass. And the pieces are too small to pick up. I stopped going to the library. Stopped walking to the pharmacy. Stopped all the small routines that had made me feel like a person with a place in the world. I stayed in the hotel room. Watched television without seeing it. Ate food without tasting it. And I wrote in my notebook. Every name, every conversation, every pitying look and careful distance. July 10th. Dorothy Vance believes I have dementia. Jocelyn told her. July 12th. Helen Marsh says Jocelyn asked her to keep an eye on me. Claims I've been wandering. July 14th. Grocery store. Ran into Pastor Williams. He asked if I was getting the help I needed. The list grew longer. The world grew smaller. Then something unexpected happened. I received a letter. Not from a lawyer. From a woman named Carolyn Bennett. The name meant nothing to me at first. But the return address did. It was in Ridgewood, 3 streets over from my house. I opened it. Dear Eleanor, you don't know me, but I know your daughter. She sold us our house 4 years ago. At the time, we thought she was wonderful. Professional, charming, trustworthy. We were wrong. After we closed, we discovered problems she'd hidden. Foundation issues, mold in the basement. Things that cost us over $40,000 to fix. When we tried to hold her accountable, she threatened us. Said she'd ruin our credit. Spread rumors about us in the neighborhood. We couldn't afford to fight. So we let it go. I heard what's happening with you. The real version, not the one she's telling everyone. My husband saw her at the bank, withdrawing cash from an account with your name on it. He thought something was wrong. I'm sorry I didn't reach out sooner. I was afraid, but I can't stay silent anymore. If you need a witness, someone who knows what she's capable of, I'm here. Carolyn Bennett. I read the letter 3 times. Then I called Victoria. I have something, I said. Someone who's dealt with Jocelyn before. She's willing to talk. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Character witnesses are tricky. They can help establish a pattern, but they're not proof. It's not just character. Her husband saw Jocelyn at the bank, withdrawing from my account. When? I don't know yet, but I can find out. Do that. And Eleanor? Be careful. If Jocelyn finds out you're building a case, she'll escalate. I met Carolyn at a coffee shop in Glen Rock. Neutral territory. Far from anyone who might recognize us. She was younger than me. Maybe 50. Nervous hands. Eyes that kept checking the door. Thank you for meeting me, I said. I almost didn't come. She wrapped her hands around her mug. I've spent 4 years trying to forget what she put us through. Tell me. So she did. The hidden inspection reports. The forged signatures. The threatening phone calls when they pushed back. The rumors she spread about them being difficult buyers who would sue anyone. She's smart, Carolyn said. She never does anything that looks illegal from the outside. Everything has an explanation. A paper trail that makes her look reasonable. Like the renovation receipts. Carolyn looked up sharply. What receipts? She claims she spent $90,000 fixing up my house. Has documentation to prove it. Have you seen the originals? Just copies. Photos on her phone. Carolyn shook her head slowly. Get the originals. Check the contractors. Call the suppliers. You think they're fake? I think your daughter has never spent $90,000 on anything that wasn't herself. That night, I called Ryan. I need help, I said. Research. Phone calls. Things I can't do from a hotel room with a flip phone and no computer. What do you need? The renovation receipts. Jocelyn says she has contracts with suppliers. Invoices. I need someone to verify they're real. Send me what you have. I'll dig. I photographed the copies Victoria had obtained through Discovery. Sent them to Ryan's email from the hotel's business center. 2 days later, he called back. Mom, you're not going to believe this. Try me. The flooring company? Doesn't exist. The address is a vacant lot in Newark. The phone number goes to a burner. What about the kitchen contractor? Real company, but they've never heard of Jocelyn. Never worked on your address. I spoke to the owner himself. I sat down heavily. She made it all up. Most of it. Some receipts are real. Small stuff. Paint. Hardware. Maybe 10,000 total. The rest is fabricated. 90,000 became 10. The gift that was never a gift was also never $90,000. I brought the evidence to Victoria. She spread the papers across her desk. The fake invoices. The non-existent companies. Ryan's notes from his phone calls. This changes things, she said. Fraud. Forgery. We're not just talking about family disputes anymore. What does that mean? It means criminal charges are possible. Not just civil recovery. I thought about Jocelyn. Prison. A record. Her daughters visiting their mother behind glass. I don't want that, I said. Victoria looked at me for a long moment. What do you want, Eleanor? My house. My money back. My name cleared. And your daughter? I didn't answer. I didn't know how. That night, I dreamed about Jocelyn as a child. She was 5 years old. Standing in the backyard with a jar full of fireflies. Her face lit up with wonder. Look, Mommy. I caught the light. I woke up crying. Somewhere between that little girl and the woman who forged receipts and stole my savings, something had broken. Or maybe it was always broken, and I just couldn't see it. Mothers aren't supposed to see the cracks in their children. We're too busy filling them with love. The next morning, Jocelyn called. I almost didn't answer, but Victoria had told me to document everything. Mom, we need to talk. So talk. Not on the phone. In person. Just us. No lawyers. Why? A pause. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Smaller. Because I think we can still fix this. Before it goes too far. I knew I should say no. Knew it was probably a trap. But she was my daughter. And some part of me still hoped. When? I asked. Tomorrow. The house. 2 o'clock. I'm going to tell you what happened at that meeting. But first, I need you to understand something. Hope is the most dangerous thing a mother can feel. It makes you walk into rooms you should run from. It makes you believe in people who've already shown you who they are. It makes you think that love can undo damage that love itself created. I walked into my own house the next day believing we might find a way forward. I was wrong. I arrived 10 minutes early. The house looked different in the afternoon light. The new paint gleamed. The windows sparkled. Everything polished and perfect. Like a lie wearing makeup. I sat in my car, watching my own front door. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I'd expected shaking. Fear. Instead, I felt hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything soft and left only bone. At exactly 2 o'clock, I walked up the porch steps and rang the doorbell. My own doorbell. Jocelyn opened the door wearing white. A linen blouse. Pressed slacks. Pearl earrings I'd given her for her 30th birthday. She looked like a woman going to brunch. A woman with nothing to hide. Mom, come in. She stepped aside. The house smelled like fresh flowers. Lilies on the dining table. My dining table. Coffee? She asked. No. Water? I'm fine. We stood in the living room. The gray sectional between us like a border. Neither of us sat down. Thank you for coming, she said. I know things have been difficult. I want to fix this. I really do. Her voice was soft, earnest, the voice she used on clients when a deal was falling apart. I'd heard it 1,000 times. At school plays, at parent-teacher conferences, at my husband's funeral. I used to believe it. Let's sit, she said. We sat, her on the sectional. Me on a chair I didn't recognize. I've been thinking, Jocelyn began, about everything that's happened, and I realize I made mistakes. I waited. I should have communicated better. Kept you more informed about the renovation. Not changed the locks without telling you. She paused, waited for me to respond. I said nothing. But Mom, you have to understand. Everything I did was for you. To protect you. To make sure you had a beautiful home to grow old in. By taking it from me? I never took anything. You're living here. I'm in a hotel. That's temporary. I told you. You've been saying temporary for 5 months. Her jaw tightened. Just a flicker. Then the soft voice returned. I know it seems that way. But the mold situation at our house. There is no mold. Silence. Her eyes changed. Something behind them shifted. What? I called your contractor. The one you said was doing the remediation. He's never heard of you. The room got very quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. A car passing outside. My own heartbeat. Jocelyn crossed her legs. Uncrossed them. That's ridiculous. You must have called the wrong number. I called 3 times. Spoke to the owner. Your address isn't in their system. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake. There's no mold. There never was. She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the street. Mom, I don't know what you think you're doing. But this paranoia isn't healthy. It's not paranoia when it's true. She turned around. The softness was gone now. Fine. You want the truth? Yes. We moved in because it was easier. Our house isn't contaminated. It's just too small, too far from the city, too far from good schools. So you lied. I simplified. You lied. To take my house. I didn't take anything. I'm borrowing. Temporarily. 5 months is not temporary. It is when you're 72 and don't need 4 bedrooms. There it was. The real Jocelyn. The one behind the sales smile and the soft voice. I stood up. I know about the receipts. Her face went still. What receipts? The renovation invoices. The $90,000 you claim to have spent. What about them? They're fake. The flooring company doesn't exist. The kitchen contractor never worked here. Ryan checked. Ryan. She laughed. Of course. My perfect brother. Always trying to make me look bad. He found the truth. That's all. His truth. His version. But I have documentation. Documentation you created. On a computer. With fake letterheads and fake addresses. Jocelyn walked toward me. Close. Too close. Be very careful, Mom. You're making accusations you can't prove. I can prove them. I have witnesses. Records. A lawyer who specializes in exactly what you're doing. And what exactly am I doing? Elder financial abuse. She flinched. Just for a second. Then her face hardened. You don't want to do this. I don't want to. But I will. She grabbed my arm. Not hard enough to hurt. But hard enough to stop me. Think about what you're doing. Think about the family. About my daughters. Your granddaughters. Do you want them to grow up with a mother who has a criminal record? Do you want them to grow up learning that stealing from your own mother is acceptable? I didn't steal. I invested. I protected. I managed. You took $23,000 from my savings. That money was for your expenses. Hotel, food, utilities. You moved into my house. Ate my food. Used my utilities. And charged me for the privilege. Her grip tightened. You're not well, Mom. Anyone can see it. The confusion. The paranoia. The accusations. I'm perfectly well. That's not what people are saying. Because you told them to say it. She let go of my arm. Stepped back. Looked at me like I was a stranger. Or like she was finally letting me see the stranger she'd always been. You want to fight? Fine. We'll fight. But I promise you, Mom, you won't win. Why not? Because I have the house. The money. The relationships. Everyone in this town knows me. Trusts me. And they think you're losing your mind. Because you told them I was. Because you are. Look at yourself. Standing in my living room, making wild accusations. This isn't rational behavior. Your living room. Yes. Mine. And it's going to stay mine. I walked to the mantel. My family photos were still there. Frank and me on our wedding day. Ryan's graduation. Jocelyn holding her first baby. I picked up the wedding photo. Your father and I bought this house in 1981. We saved for 3 years for the down payment. Ate rice and beans. Skipped vacations. Drove a car with no air conditioning. Mom, we raised 2 children here. Celebrated every holiday. Our 43rd anniversary would have been this year. I know the history. No, you don't. You know the address. The square footage. The property value. You don't know what this house means. I put the photo down. This isn't about $90,000 or mold or temporary arrangements. This is about you deciding that what you want matters more than who I am. Jocelyn laughed. It was a cold sound. Empty. Who you are. Mom, who are you? A retired teacher living alone in a house too big for her. Waiting for phone calls from children who are busy living their own lives. Counting the days until you forget your own name. That's what you see. That's what everyone sees. You're just too proud to admit it. And you're too greedy to see what you're becoming. Her eyes flashed. I'm protecting my family. My daughters. Their future. You have 1 foot in the grave. Why should all of this go to waste? 1 foot in the grave. My daughter said that. To my face. In my living room. I felt something break inside me. Not my heart. That had been cracking for months. Something else. The last thread of hope. The belief that somewhere beneath the manipulation and the lies, my daughter still loved me. That thread snapped. And I felt free. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, I said. My voice was calm, steady, surprising even me. I'm going to leave now. Tomorrow morning, my lawyer will file a complaint. Civil and criminal, fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse. You can't. I have the fake receipts. The witness statements. The bank records. Everything documented. Everything dated. No one will believe you. Maybe not everyone, but judges don't care about popularity. They care about evidence. I walked toward the door. You have a choice, Jocelyn. You can fight this and lose. Watch your career destroyed. Possibly go to prison. Definitely lose your real estate license. You wouldn't. Or you can settle. Return what you took. Move out of my house. Let me live the rest of my life in peace. I opened the front door. Either way, I win. Because I'm not afraid of you anymore. She followed me onto the porch. Mom, wait, please. I turned around. For one moment, I saw it. The little girl again. The one who was afraid of thunderstorms. Who crawled into my bed when she had nightmares. But that girl was gone. Maybe she never existed. Maybe I invented her because I needed to believe my daughter was good. Goodbye, Jocelyn. Mom, I'm sorry. I can explain. You've explained enough. I walked to my car. Got in. Started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I watched her standing on the porch. Watching me leave. She looked small. Lost. I didn't go back. I drove to Victoria's office. Sat in her waiting room until she could see me. When I finally walked into her office, she looked up from her desk. Eleanor, what happened? File everything. Now. Are you sure? She told me I have 1 foot in the grave. That I'm wasting a house she deserves more than I do. Victoria was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry. Don't be. I needed to hear it. I needed to know who she really is. I sat down. My legs were shaking now. The adrenaline wearing off. She's going to fight, Victoria said. This will get ugly. I know. She'll try to discredit you. Drag up everything she can. I know. Are you ready for that? I thought about the hotel room. The beige walls. The parking lot view. I thought about my husband's bathrobe. My wedding photos. The creak of the back porch step. I thought about my daughter telling me I was already half dead. Yes, I said. I'm ready. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling. Fluorescent lights. An American flag in the corner. It looked like a place where ordinary things happened. Traffic tickets. Small claims. The quiet business of everyday justice. But for me, it was everything. I sat beside Victoria at a table that felt too big. My hands were folded in my lap. I'd worn my navy blue dress. The one I saved for funerals and important occasions. This felt like both. Jocelyn sat across the aisle with her lawyer. She was wearing gray, muted, professional. She didn't look at me. Derek wasn't there. I heard later they'd separated. I don't know if that's true. I've stopped keeping track of her life. The hearing lasted 3 hours. Victoria presented the evidence. The fake invoices. The non-existent contractors. The bank records showing withdrawals I never authorized. Carolyn Bennett's testimony about Jocelyn's history of deception. Jocelyn's lawyer tried to paint me as confused. Vindictive. A bitter old woman turning on her own daughter out of spite. But then the judge held up the receipts. He was an older man. Gray hair. Reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked like someone who had seen everything and was tired of being surprised. "This invoice," he said, pointing to a line item. "The font changes halfway through. Different typeface. Different spacing." The courtroom went quiet. "And this vendor registration number. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never seen this format. Because it doesn't exist." He set the papers down. "These documents are fabricated, poorly fabricated, and this court does not look kindly on fraud." The ruling came a week later. Jocelyn and Derek were ordered to vacate my home within 48 hours. They were required to return all keys, remotes, and access codes. They were prohibited from removing any property not documented as theirs. They were ordered to pay restitution for the money taken from my accounts. And there would be a referral to the county prosecutor for potential criminal charges. I sat in Victoria's office when she read me the decision. "You won," she said. I nodded. But it didn't feel like winning. 2 days later, I drove to my house. It was a Thursday morning. October. The leaves were turning. Reds and golds lining the street I'd lived on for 43 years. I parked in my driveway. Sat there for a long time. The house looked the same. The new paint. The clean windows. The porch where I'd rocked my babies and watched my husband drink his morning coffee. But something was different. The house felt like a stranger I was meeting again after years apart. Familiar and foreign at the same time. I unlocked the front door. The key turned smoothly. A new key. Victoria had arranged for a locksmith. Inside, the air was still. Quiet. That particular silence of a house holding its breath. Jocelyn had taken her things. The gray sectional was gone. The glass coffee table, the candles and the throw pillows and all the small markers of a life that wasn't mine. My furniture was back. The floral couch. The wooden coffee table Frank built in our garage. The lamps we'd bought at a flea market in 1985. Everything in its place. Except nothing felt the same. I walked through each room slowly. The kitchen with its new cabinets. I opened them one by one. Empty. Waiting to be filled. The bathroom with its gleaming tile. I turned on the faucet. Watched the water run. The bedroom where Frank died. Where I'd slept alone for 10 years. Where my daughter had slept while I paid for a hotel room across town. I sat on the edge of the bed. And finally, I cried. Not tears of sadness. Not exactly. Something more complicated. Relief and grief and exhaustion all tangled together. I cried for the daughter I'd lost. Not to death, but to something harder to name. Greed. Desperation. Whatever hollow place inside her that made my home look like her salvation. I cried for the months I'd spent in that beige room. The loneliness. The doubt. The moments when I wondered if maybe she was right. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe I didn't deserve to take up space in a 4-bedroom house. I cried for the woman I used to be. The one who trusted easily. Who believed the best in everyone. Who thought love was enough to hold a family together. That woman was gone. In her place was someone different. Harder. Wiser. Sadder. I wasn't sure if that was a loss or a gift. Ryan flew in the next week. He didn't say much. Just walked through the house with me. Fixed a squeaky hinge. Changed the batteries in the smoke detectors. Made me dinner. We sat on the back porch as the sun went down. "How do you feel?" he asked. I thought about it. Like I survived something. You did. But survival isn't the same as healing. He nodded. Put his hand over mine. "It's a start." The months that followed were quiet. I filled the cabinets. hung my pictures back on the walls, reclaimed each room slowly, carefully, like learning to walk again after an injury. Some days were good. I'd wake up and feel grateful for the morning light through my window, for the creak of the porch step, for the simple fact of being home. Other days were harder. I'd find something Jocelyn left behind. A hair tie, a receipt, a coffee mug shoved in the back of a cabinet. And the anger would rise again, sharp and hot. I learned to let it pass, to breathe through it, to remind myself that anger was just love with nowhere to go. People ask me if I've forgiven her. I don't know how to answer that. Forgiveness sounds like something that happens in a moment, a decision you make, a switch you flip, but it's not like that. At least not for me. Some days I feel something close to peace. I remember her as a child. The way she laughed. The way she reached for my hand when she was scared. And I think she was broken before she broke me. Something went wrong somewhere. Something I couldn't fix. Other days, the betrayal sits heavy in my chest. I think about the lies. The manipulation. The way she looked at me and said I had one foot in the grave. And I feel nothing but cold. Maybe forgiveness isn't a destination. Maybe it's a road you walk. Some days you move forward. Some days you stand still. Some days you go backward. I'm still walking. I don't see Jocelyn anymore. She tried to call once, a few months after the court ruling. I let it go to voicemail. Mom, it's me. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I know you probably won't believe me. But I am. I'm sorry. I listened to it 3 times. Then I deleted it. Maybe someday I'll be ready to hear her out. To sit across from her and listen to whatever explanation she's constructed. To try to understand. But not yet. Some wounds need time. I still live in this house. It's been 14 months now. The forsythia bloomed again this spring. Yellow against gray. The same as all. I've made changes. Small ones. A new reading chair by the window. A bird feeder in the backyard. A lock on my bedroom door that only I have the key to. I've also made changes inside myself. I removed Jocelyn from my accounts. Updated my will. Set up a trust with Ryan as the executor. Put everything in writing so there can be no confusion. No loopholes. No room for another daughter to decide she deserves what I've spent a lifetime building. Victoria says I'm legally protected now. But legal protection isn't the same as feeling safe. Safety is something I'm still learning. Something I build each day, brick by brick. If you're watching this, you might be wondering why I'm telling you this story. It's not for sympathy. I've had enough pitying looks to last a lifetime. It's not for revenge. Jocelyn will have to live with what she did. That's punishment enough. I'm telling you because I know I'm not alone. Every day, somewhere in this country, an elderly parent is being manipulated by someone they love. Isolated, gaslit, told they're confused when they're not. Told they don't need what they've earned. Told their home, their savings, their dignity are too much for them to handle. And most of them stay silent. Because it's embarrassing. Because it's family. Because they can't believe their own child would do this to them. I know. I couldn't believe it either. So here's what I want you to know. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything. Dates. Conversations. Withdrawals. Evidence matters more than emotion in a courtroom. Don't sign anything without a lawyer. Not even for family. Especially for family. Talk to someone. A friend. A sibling. A professional. Isolation is their greatest weapon. Connection is yours. And remember, loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. I'm 73 now. I walk to the library on Tuesdays again. Return my mysteries. Pick up something new. I've started going back to church. Different one. Fresh start. Nobody knows my history. Nobody looks at me with pity or suspicion. I planted tomatoes in the backyard. They didn't grow very well this year. Too much rain in June. But I'll try again next summer. That's what you do. You try again. The other night, I was sitting on the back porch watching the fireflies. I thought about Jocelyn at 5 years old. Standing in the same backyard. Holding a jar full of light. Look, Mommy. I caught the light. She was so proud. So innocent. So certain that beautiful things could be kept in a jar forever. I don't know when she changed. I don't know if she was always this way and I just couldn't see it. Or if life bent her into something I don't recognize. I may never know. But I know this: I can't spend the rest of my years trying to figure it out. Some questions don't have answers. Some children grow up to be strangers. Some mothers have to learn to love from a distance. The fireflies blinked in the darkness. Small lights. Here and gone. I sat there until the air grew cool and the stars came out. Then I went inside, locked the door, made myself a cup of tea, and sat in my living room. My living room. In my house. Where my life happened. Where my life continues to happen. Day by day. Moment by moment. Still here. Still standing. Still home. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it wasn't easy to hear. It wasn't easy to live. But if even one person recognizes the warning signs because of what I shared, if even one family avoids what mine went through, then telling it was worth every difficult word. You're not alone. None of us are. If this story touched you, please subscribe to Grandmama Radio. Hit that like button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. And leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story if you have one. We're all in this together. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And remember, your home is yours. Your life is yours. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Until next time.